welcome to this edition of Mikey's Saturday Nightmares. We just trying that out. We just trying that out. Okay, now on tonight's episode. Thank you so much for those of you, before I start in tonight's episode, that have watched the Classic Movie Buffet Theater video I posted earlier this week. Greatly appreciate the views. If you want to comment on these videos, by all means, please do so. And I'll be happy to go through the comments and talk to you. Now, on tonight's episode, we're going to talk about a movie that came out on October 10th of 2003. Now, this is not your usual classic movie that I discuss on Saturday Nightmares, but it is considered a horror comedy. And this was a great movie, and it was directed by a fellow by the name of Don Coscarelli, and he, is pretty well known. A lot of you may know him because he directed Phantasm from 1979, and he also directed The Beastmaster from 1982. Now, The Beastmaster is on the channel. I did a review on it on my Classic Movie Buffet Theater, so if you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. And in 2012, he directed the film John Dies at the End. Now, I've never seen that film. I have not seen that film, I'll be honest with you. If it's worth watching, let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll check it out. So the film we're going to talk about tonight is called Bubba Ho-Tep. And this is a horror comedy from Don Coscarelli, and it stars the great Bruce Campbell, who plays the character of Elvis. Yeah, I said it, Elvis. And he's also played in such great films as Black Friday from 2021.
As any good and strong manager would.
I told you they never die.
And of course, he played in Evil Dead from 1981. And he also made a little cameo in a slasher flick called The Intruder from 1989. Now, The Intruder is also on the channel. If you haven't seen that, go back and check that out. The film also stars the great Ozzie Davis, who plays the character of Jack. And he's also played in such films as Hot Stuff from 1979. He also played in the 1993 comedy Grumpy Old Men with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
It was an awakening. Ariel reminded me that I was alive, that I was a man full of energy, love, and passion. It was like being young again, if only for a moment.
And he also played in the film Cop and a Half with the great Burt Reynolds from 1993. The film also stars Bob Ivy, who plays Bubba Ho-Tep. And he's also done such films as Sorority House Massacre from 1992. Now that film, no, not 92, I'm sorry, 1986. Now, for that film, he has an uncredited role in that film. I want to point that out. And he also played in the film Deep Space from 1988. And he was also in The Capitol Conspiracy from 1998 with the great Don the Dragon Wilson. Now, a lot of the films that he was in, he did stunt work for. He did acting in at least, 10 to 15, maybe 20 films. But a lot of the stuff he did was stunt work. So he's well known in the stunt area. in the aspect of doing stunts and things of that nature. We have an honorable mention in this film. She's a great character in the film. Her name is Ella Joyce, and she plays the nurse in the film. And she's also played in such films as Stop or My Mom Will Shoot from 1992 with Sylvester Stallone and Estelle Getty.
Go ahead. Make your bed.
She has an uncredited role in the film Reality Bites from 1994. And she was also in the film Set It Off in 1996. She was a great character in the film. Great character in the film. Now, this film had a budget, an estimated budget of $1 million, and the worldwide gross was $1,239,183. Not that great. Not that great, but it is considered a cult classic, and as a matter of fact, I believe right now you can view it on Tubi. If you have Tubi, you can stream it from there. You'll enjoy it. I guarantee you'll love it. The plot for this film is when residents of their nursing home start dying of dubious causes, an aged Elvis Presley and an African American senior who claims to be John F. Kennedy discover that the perpetrator is an Egyptian mummy with murderous intentions. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for Bubba Ho-Tep. Roll it.
How could I have gone from the king of rock and roll to this old guy in a rest home?
You were an Elvis impersonator. You fell off a stage and broke your hip? When was it? 20 years ago.
That's where they took a piece of my brain. I got a little bag of sand up there now.
Jack, President Kennedy was a white man.
They dyed me this color. What we have here at Shady Rest is an Egyptian soul sucker of some sort.
Some kind of Bubba Ho-Tep.
You know, a mummy hiding out, feeding on the sleeping.
He can just keep on feeding unless he's finally destroyed.
All right, man, let's go. Don't make me use my stuff on you, baby.
All right, that was the trailer for Bubba Ho-Tep. This movie is actually based on a Bram Stoker Award nominee short story by cult author Joe R. Lansdale. It's considered a satire and an off-the-wall comedy. Bubba Ho-Tep definitely hits the mark, and you will find yourself too busy laughing to be scared. Things are on the cheesy side in this film, however. The humor is actually very smart, even when the jokes themselves lean to the juvenile side. For all of the jokes and mummy craziness, this is actually a tale of regret. Some themes like wondering if you have lived your life to its full potential and leaving your past behind you. It gives the film a little heart. That and the warm and realistic relationship that the two leads develop as the movie rolls on. The Bruce Campbell and Ozzie Davis, they have a lot of banter in this film between the two. And it shows as the film progresses, they become close friends. And you see that build. You see that build up. Great actors. Both of them are great actors. It's a very strange combination of ideas and themes that work well together by the end. Campbell's performance is absolutely incredible as the aging Elvis Presley. And you start to wonder why why he wasn't asked sooner to play the role of Elvis. Ozzie Davis is fantastic in his role as well, and he and Campbell play well off of each other. You go into the movie expecting it to be really, really bad. The name of the film and the plot should be a big clue. Um, Yet, what you actually end up with is a highly entertaining film full of laughs that explores morality and memory in an unexpectedly intelligent and sensitive way. If you are a fan of the Evil Dead franchise and or Elvis fan, or looking for an outrageous comedy horror to pass a little time with, this movie is well worth the watch and deserves to be known as a cult classic. I have I've seen this movie. I don't know. I've seen it a bunch of times. We'll put it that way. I've seen it a bunch of times. And every time I watch this movie, I still laugh. I still laugh my tail off every single time I watch this film. Um, Bruce Campbell is great, no matter what role he's in. I mean, he was fantastic in the Evil Dead series. Black Friday, he was fantastic in Black Friday. Um, the man does not fail to make you laugh or, feel some kind of emotion when you watch his films. He never fails. He never fails. All right, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into some trivia for this film. It's time for trivia. All right. I mean, the banter between Ozzie Davis and Bruce Campbell is fantastic. They find themselves getting into situations and not clearly understanding what kind of situation they're in, because at first they have no idea what's going on. They're just going by what's been happening and trying to figure out what's causing it all. Ozzie Davis does a little bit more detective work into it before he pulls in Bruce Campbell's character of Elvis. But when they get together, they're great together. They're great together. All right. Number one, Elvis is the main character, but not one piece of Elvis Presley music plays in the film. Don Cascarelli explained that licensing even one Elvis song would have cost about half of the film's budget. I can believe that. I can believe that. Um, you hear a lot of, especially if you're like me, you're a fan of AEW, professional wrestling. You hear a lot of old songs that they use as entrance music, and they have to pay. They have to pay for that. They have to pay for the licensing on that. And I can imagine it runs into the thousands, maybe even close to the millions of dollars to pay just to be able to use that song. CM Punk uses for WWE uses Cult of Personality by Living Color. They have to pay out the wazoo for that song as well, I'm sure. So it's a lot of money, I'd say. When Elvis turns on the TV and sees a movie marathon of himself, none of the clips are from Elvis Presley movies. The film used stock footage of actors with the same basic body type as Elvis and never showed their faces. Okay, all right. I would imagine they would have had to pay out the wazoo to use footage from his films as well as his music. So most of the movie was shot at an abandoned veterans hospital outside of Los Angeles. Even the trailer park explosion in the middle of the film was shot there. They used three hallways of one building for the interior of the nursing home. Now there's a scene in the movie where it goes back and it explains how Elvis Presley ended up at the retirement home and why he claims to be Elvis Presley and not an impersonator that everybody believes him to be. And in that scene, there's a explosion at a trailer park, and that's where that comes in at. Filmed in 30 days, an unusually long schedule for such a low budget film. 30 days. 30 days is a long schedule. Wow. Okay. Maybe the filming schedule, you know, the hours they spent a day working on the film were probably long. Uh, I mean, you had to shoot the whole film in only 30 days. So, yeah, I'd say we're talking 10, 12 hours, if not longer, on set. Author Joe R. Lansdale came up with the idea for the short story when he saw The Mummy from 1932. The main villain is called Ho-Tep. Lansdale thought if he was an East Texas mummy, he would be called Bubba Ho-Tep. Okay, that's interesting on how he came up with that name. I could see that. Let's see. Larry Pennell played a man dressed as the Lone Ranger in Sam Drucker's Visit, 1969, more than 30 years earlier. Now, Larry Pennell is a side character in this film, who wears a mask like the Lone Ranger and walks up and down the halls with cap guns, thinking he's the Lone Ranger and he's in the Wild Wild West. So apparently he played a man dressed as the Lone Ranger 30 years earlier in a film called The Visit from 1969. So that's pretty cool. He got to go back to his roots, I guess you'd say, and play a character that he's played before, or at least wear the same wardrobe as a character he wore years before. That's pretty cool. Harrison Young plays Elvis's roommate, a veteran of World War II with a Purple Heart. Harrison portrays another World War II veteran in Saving Private Ryan from 1998 as the old man in the Frame story. Now, I myself have never seen Saving Private Ryan. Uh, I've heard nothing but good stuff about that film, but I've just never sat down to watch it. So, when I first saw Harrison Young, it was in this film. It's the first time I've ever seen him. But that does kind of make me want to go back and sit down and watch that Saving Private Ryan just to see him in that film because he was good. Even though he wasn't in that film very long, he played the role very, very well. Very well. Director trademark Don Cascarelli, quote, criminal prosecution and the wrath of Bubba Ho-Tep is a variant of the quote, and the wrath of the tall man from the Phantasm films in 1979. So apparently there was a trademark at the end of the film threatening criminal prosecution if you misused the film in any way or done anything illegal like downloading or anything like that. And it said the wrath of you would suffer criminal prosecution and the wrath of Bubba Ho-Tep, where in 1979 you would face the wrath of the tall man from the Phantasm film. So that's pretty cool. A little callback for Don Cascarelli because he directed both films. So that's pretty cool. Elvis describes his medicine bag as Mucho Mojo, the title of another story by the same author, Joe R. Lansdale. Nice. That's nice. Nice little callback there. And finally, the book, The Everyday Man of Woman's Book of the Soul, shown in the film, is opened to Chapter 7, The Soul Sucker. The text of this chapter, readable on 3 pages, is lifted from the beginning of H.P. Lovecraft's 1927 work, Supernatural in Horror Literature. That's pretty cool right there. That's pretty cool right there when you can pull something from somebody, a well known artist, uh, especially author such as H.P. Lovecraft, who had devoted his entire career to horror and novels of that nature. So that's pretty cool that you could pay homage to him that way. This is an incredible film. It's very, very funny. I can't say it enough that Bruce Campbell plays Elvis Presley very, very well. And you actually kind of believe his story when he tells you what happened and how he ended up in the retirement home. You actually believe his story, and it kind of got me to thinking, what if this is true? And Elvis is still alive. Elvis is still out there somewhere, and all these people that have claimed that they've seen Elvis, or seen aliens with Elvis or anything of that nature. What if they really did see Elvis and he's still alive? That would be crazy. That would be crazy. All right. So, with that being said, we're going to end this video here. I appreciate each and every one of you who watch the videos. You're the reason why I'm here and the reason why I do these videos. Um, because I love to talk about movies that I love and share my love for these films. I know Bubba Ho-Tep is not really considered a horror film, but in my opinion, it is a horror comedy. Um, but a lot of people wouldn't see, don't really see it that way. But I had put off doing this video for this film over and over and over again. And I thought, you know what? I'm finally going to sit down and I'm going to do this video for this film because I love this film. I love this film so much. And I'm sure you will too if you give it a shot. All right. So, with that being said, I will see you guys next time on Wednesday for Classic Movie Buffet Theater. Until then, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Be safe. Bye bye.